What's up guys, it's Nick here at Fantasy Forge Miniatures, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make doors. Doors are going to be in every single building that you make, so learning how to make them is going to be important. So like I said, I'm going to show you 3 ways to make doors. Now the first is going to be with Styrofoam. This is a great basic way to make doors. Second is going to be to sculpt one out of clay. Now you're going to have a lot more control and be able to get a lot more detail into your door by using clay. Now you could stop here, paint this and be done, but then in the third way, I'm going to show you how to make a mold out of this and then cast it out of 10-minute resin. Then you'll really be able to start cranking out doors. Let's get crafted.
Alright, so this first one we're going to be building a styrofoam door, and I've got 2 pieces of styrofoam here that I've sliced into 2mm thick and 1mm. So the 2mm is going to be for the body of the door, and I'm just marking out an inch wide because that's a good size for a miniature door, so about an inch there. So then I'm going to grab a miniature here, and I'm just going to see how high a door would be for this guy, and I'm just kind of marking it out there, and I'm lining it up on the grid on my mat, and I'm cutting it, and it turned out to be about 1 3/4 inches. So that's our door. So now we're going to cut off the corners here because I'd like a rounded door, and what I'm doing is I'm going to make a rounded top. It's kind of a little trick to get a nice even round is just to cut the corners off and then cut the corners off of those ones, and then you end up with a nice round door. So that's going to be the body. You can always just measure it up just to see. Looks real good. So now I've got a hot wire foam cutter here, and I'm just going to be marking out the panels of wood that make up the door here. So I'm just going over a little bit slower so I get a nice notch of where the panels would go, and then I'm going over just lightly to make the wood grain, and I'm just touching on the ends. Now if you want to look at all of my texturing techniques, you can check out my other video. That's got lots of them there. So there we go, that's the body of our wood door there, and now we're going to take the thinner sheet, the 1mm thick, and we're going to cut it to the same width, so about 1 inch there, and after that we're just going to flush that edge there, just throw that away. And now we're going to cut the strips that are going to make the brackets of the door. So here we go. We're going to cut 2 evenly, and they're about the same size width as the door. And we're just going to cut those into points. Now this you can do however brackets you'd like to do. I'm just doing it this way. So now that we have those 2 brackets, I'm going to take my ballpoint, stylus there, and I'm going to just push into the foam there, and I'm going to make kind of a circular indent. And this is to simulate bolts holding the door in. So I'm going to do that one for this one and the exact same for the other one. Once I have both done, I'm going to grab my hot glue gun here, and we're just going to put those right on the door. Now you can do as many of these, 1, 2, 3, 5. Maybe it's a really reinforced door. You can have a lot of freedom with this one, but there we go. Our door has brackets. Now for the door handle, I'm going to take this piece of wire and I'm going to wrap it around the base of my style tool there to make a perfect circle. And that's going to act as the handle. So once we have it like that, we're going to grab some pliers and we're going to cut it right where the wire overlaps with itself. And so by doing that, cutting right there, we make a perfect door handle shape. So with the leftover of the wire, I'm just going to bend it over the smaller part of the stylus to create kind of the piece that holds the door handle in place. So just snip it off like that, and now you can see there the door handle slides onto it, and we're just going to stick that right into the door. Now I left this in here. I accidentally burnt a little through the door, and it's no problem. I took an extra piece of that thinner foam and I put it on the back of it and fixed it. So just hot gluing in that door handle there, and we are done. It's a great looking foam door. All right, so for this next one, we're going to be making it out of clay. We're going to grab some Superculpey, and this is firm, and we're just going to set the pasta maker to a nice thick setting and just give it a couple of passes to warm it up, just to get it nice and soft. So Now that we have that, I'm just going to put this on a board, and you'll see why once we start making the molds. But I'm doing the exact same thing I was doing before, about 1 inch wide, and we're just going to be cutting out 1 inch by 1 3/4 inch rectangle. Looks about good size for our door there. Now I'm going to lay some wax paper down so it doesn't get stuck to that board, and then we're going to start texturing. So we're just cutting off the corners here, because I'd like a kind of a squarish door. So now I'm grabbing a dental tool, and I'm just laying in those wooden panels sections that are going to look like the boards that make up our door. So you can make your doors however you like to. This is just the techniques I'm using to sculpt in the texture. I'm just using this dental tool again just to lay in some of the wood grain into the texturing. And always doing the sides and the ends to get that kind of rugged looking door. And now I'm grabbing my ball stylus again just to make some knots in the wood. And there you go. That looks some great wood texturing there. So now I'm going to set my pasta maker to a thinner setting. You can always use a rolling pin, but you can see there I got it to a nice thin section. And now flushing one edge, I'm going to cut a thin strip of this to be the brackets for this door. So I'm just going to lay them down on size, kind of eyeball it, press it to stick a little bit, and then I'm just going to start cutting those right to size and just sticking them right on the door there. So once that's done, I'm just kind of trimming the edges off lightly to make them pointed at the end. And again, you can design these however you'd like to. I'm taking the ball stylus, and I'm just going to be gently pushing in a little bit to create kind of like that bolt impression. And now I'm going to roll out a thin snake of clay, and this is going to act as kind of like the hinge area. So I'm going to make 3 of those, 1 for each bracket, and then I'm going to place those right on the edge and just kind of push them into place just like so. Now you can always trim those down if they are too big once you get them onto your door. And then you can use an X-Acto knife or whatever you'd like to add more texture. I'm just kind of adding in some light details to them, using the ball stylus to make them kind of look like hammered brackets. And then I'm going to be grabbing a dental tool and just kind of adding some nicks, scrapes, gashes. This is where, the door got banged up from years of being broken out of or whatever you like. But that's our finished door. Now we can go ahead and throw in our handle. So exactly is how we made it in the foam version. We're going to do the same here. And there is our finished door. You can bake it. You can make all kinds of versions with it. And you can leave it at that. And those are some great doors to paint and put into your builds. Now, in this next section, we're going to be making a mold out of this one. So I'm going to be just gluing that to the wax paper so it doesn't shift around, grabbing some regular old plasticine, and then kind of rolling it out and pinching it out into a nice low wall. And this is going to act as our tank for pouring in our mold. So we're just wrapping the door, leaving space around so it doesn't touch anywhere. And that's nicely sealed. The plasticine will seal in that. So we're going to grab some latex gloves, a cup, 2 popsicle sticks, and this is easy mold 2-part silicone mold mixture. So I just got it at Michael's. So we're going to take the first part, and it takes equal parts of each. So taking that first popsicle stick, and we're just getting a little bit of that, and again just kind of eyeballing the same amount from the other one using a different popsicle stick. You don't want to start hardening in the case. So now we're going to go ahead and give that a really good stir. This stuff takes a little while to set, so you want to make sure that this is really mixed well. So now we're going to start lightly pouring it over the door in a small amount. We don't want any bubbles to get caught in there, so we're just trying to give it an easy coat, and if there are bubbles, that they can escape easily. And then just starting to pour from one side and then letting that kind of flow into all the other cracks. And then I'm just using a popsicle stick to just try to move it around and let any air escape. So after that, you can just dump the rest on top. We're going to let that sit. This takes about 5 to 6 hours to dry. And now we're just going to flip it over, peel off that wax paper. If it doesn't come off the door easily, that's fine. Then we're just going to remove that plasticine, and we're looking at a really nice mold here. So now we just pop that door out. You can really bend this silicone there, wouldn't be a problem at all. So just pop that door out, and now we have our door original and a mold. So now I'm using FastCast 2-part fast drying resin, and again, equal parts of each one. We're just going to pour those into a cup, stir it around. Now this has a work time of like 2 minutes before it begins its hardening process. So I've made a bunch of other door casts, so this little tiny amount is going to do quite a bit. So you don't need a lot if you're just doing one door. You don't even need a lot if you're doing 3 doors. So now we're just going to lightly pour that into each one of the molds. And I'm grabbing a toothpick here. Sorry, I'm blocking it, but I'm just making sure that it gets into the handle area and pops any bubbles that might be left over. Then I'm using a hot gun to just kind of pop any other bubbles using the heat. And then we're just gonna watch them dry. 10 minutes later, you can pop those babies right out of there, and they are good to go. You can start cranking out doors this way. Now, if there's any leftover plastic that kind of spilled over the mold, we can go ahead and just kind of cut that off with the X-Acto knife, no problem. So now we've got a nice looking door resin that we can start cranking out all kinds. So we started off with the plasticine, we made a mold, and now we've got our casts that we can make whenever we need a door. In 10 minutes, you'll have a nice looking detailed door. Make as many of these as you like, try different things. It's always fun to play around with this.
And that's it, guys. You're well on your way to creating piles of doors for all your buildings. Now, if you've got a different way of making doors, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification to stay up to date with all my videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, keep on crafting.